rights lawyer Femi Falana has asked the federal government to hold talks with #EndSARS protesters and grant their demands the same way it negotiates with terrorists. Falana made the remarks on Wednesday during an interview on Channels Television Politics Today, saying the government must engage in dialogue with leaders of the protesting groups. He said, after all, the government negotiates with the so-called bandits and the Boko people, so why won't you negotiate with patriots like the young men and women that are protesting all over the country? He believes that the talks, backed by steps that meet the demands of Nigerians who have taken to the streets, are the only way the government can end the nationwide protests. One of the necessary steps is for the federal government to ensure that protesters are protected. Another, according to him, is for a full-fledged inquiry into the outright killings of Nigerians by police officers. He also called on state attorneys general to take over the prosecution of cases. Nigeria currently does not run a state policing system, and that limits the control governors have over security matters regarding their state. Falana, however, says that with the nearly 98% of crimes in the country committed at the state level, there is the need for a more decentralized system of policing. He said there has to be a full-fledged inquiry that will support a judicial commission of inquiry, not a judicial commission of inquiry that will sit in camera, which is private, like the Ayo Salami Judicial Commission of Inquiry. This one will sit in the open like the Oputa panel, and they will investigate the atrocities, the outright killings. Finally, I'm calling on the state attorneys general because 98% of criminal offenses in Nigeria are state offenses. Let our attorney general take over the prosecution of cases in Nigeria. More so that the Police Act 2020 has prohibited policemen and women from prosecuting in our court. So the state government will have to engage lawyers to take over the prosecution of cases in all our courts. If the government can put all this in place in the next 3 days, the young men and women can now be persuaded to leave the streets, he said. Falana's comments come about 24 hours after the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Buhari Adamu, set up a new unit called the Special Weapons and Tactics Team to replace the disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Unit, which is SARS, after nationwide protests over a series of allegations of police brutality and human rights violations. Despite the development, the protests have continued as many Nigerians suspect the new unit may amount to a mere change of name. As the protests continued on Wednesday, with many rejecting the SWAT unit, the police said no member of SARS will be in the unit and referred to the unit as tactical unit rather than SWAT. Okay. No member of the SARS will be involved or will be part of this new unit that they are forming. One thing that I really want to talk about is a statement made by Falana. Yes, he said if the government can negotiate with this the so-called all these Boko people, all this whatever, if they can take money aside to negotiate with a bandit, setting out a very huge amount of money to persuade them, oh, surrender your stuff, surrender this, surrender that, then we will give you this, we will give you that. That is what they have been doing. That is what they have been doing. And meanwhile, that problem has not solved, and they are spending money. Very unfortunate statement made by Professor Sage, saying that if the youth, if they don't leave the street, that they will be, the government they will not have no choice than to use force. That they will not use force on them. You can imagine, but you are not using force on those who are taking people's life, but you use money to beg them. You use money to persuade them, and you have spent the money, and yet the crime continues in that region, and you have spent money, taxpayers' money. You know, it's unfortunate. How many times has what's this man's name? The Professor Sage. How many times has he made comments on this ßØØŠ and the so-called Boko or the bandits or those people perpetrating evil in that region? How many times has he said? But when it comes to the southern part of the country, they will be eager, they will be showing as if they are patriotic. But see what is happening. They're spending the same taxpayers' money on this so-called bandits, and nothing, no result up until now, no result at all. So if you can negotiate with them, even with money, not even negotiating with just words of mouth, you are begging them, you are going to give them land, you are going to give them shops, you are going to give them whatever, you are going to give them houses. Katsina State Governor has come out to say that they have spent over 4.2 billion naira. Somebody said you're always talking about it. Yes, that is the fact. The man said it. So if they are using money to persuade all of those people, then why is it that just to sit on round table, do the right thing? That's it, because these people are not even after your money. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. You can't just be saying, oh, this and that. People should just go and sleep. What is their problem? No, you can't just say that. It's not done. And meanwhile, FALANA is even talking about how these police people, how they are being trained. He said they are still being trained like this colonial, they are still giving them colonial training, which is primitive. And yes, somebody said it, that the way and manner at which they train these people is very, very unfortunate. They train them like animals. So if they come out, they don't see anything, because when they remember, when they look at what they went through, they don't respect anybody. Of course, a lot of people have a different opinion, whether they are, what is it called, there's an agenda, whether they are being sent to these parts of the country, because in the other parts of the country, we don't see all of those things happening. We don't see them. So he has really said it. If you can negotiate with this so-called Boko, then why can't you negotiate with these people? You know, there's and I think there's a way the whole thing is going, because before you know it, the government is looking for a way to name them terrorists. Then let us see who you are going to hold responsible. Now the youth have come out to say that they don't have leaders. There's nobody that is leading it. Everybody is a leader in this struggle. Everybody. Those ones that they are meeting behind, they said there's some billionaires and some governors meeting with the committee or whatever. The people said they don't have leaders at all. They don't have leaders at all. So we are now going to, because that is area they are, I think they might want to go to name them, to prescribe them. To prescribe them. You will hear. So if what is good for the goose is good for the gander, that is exactly what FALANA is talking about. If you are sincere, why can't you dialogue? A lot of people have been coming out to say, the president up till now, this man has not been able to address the country. How long will it take? He has not been able to address this. Just issue statement. People should just... No, it doesn't work that way. And this is the man, any little thing, they will come out that some people are not patriotic. Somebody who is... It's unfortunate. And those who are... Of course, the more they do all these things, the more they get embarrassed. Not only in Nigeria, but globally. A president will not come out and address. Even when the whole place is burning, you will have a meeting with one or two people. What is there? Even if it's 5 minutes talk, you want to talk, let the people feel you. Well, whether it comes out or it does not come out, it makes no meaning. But let them do what the people want. Negotiate with them if you can negotiate with the so-called bandits. Leave your comment, guys, below, and let's have your take on this.